There is a very interesting law of psychology of human thinking called the law of comparison and contrast. It describes how we have a hard time valuing something when that thing is by itself. It's much easier for us to value something when it's being compared to something else. In one study, they had test subjects put one hand in a bucket of room temperature water. And while the other hand was in a bucket of cold water, they overestimated the temperature because it was being compared to cold water. So they thought it was warmer than it was. When their other hand was in a bucket of warm water, they underestimated the temperature because it was being compared to warm water. So based on what you compare something to, you can change the value in the mind of your target of what they're valuing. In one marketing example, this guy had these espresso machines in a kitchen gadget shop that he had. But these espresso machines weren't selling very well. It was a $250 espresso machine, but nobody was buying it. So he hired a consultant, and the consultant came in and looked at it and said, okay, I know what the problem is. All you need to do is put a $500 espresso machine next to the $250 espresso machine. And so people would come in, they would see this $250 espresso machine, and it was next to another $500 espresso machine, but the $500 espresso machine really did the same stuff that the $250 one did. And so by comparison, the $250 espresso machine seemed much cheaper, and much more people bought this. And a similar example, a guy had a restaurant, and he had a whole bunch of cases of wine that were $50 each. But it was a mid-level restaurant, and these $50 bottles of wine was the most expensive wine on the wine list, so nobody was buying it. Nobody wanted to buy the most expensive bottle of wine on the wine list. So we hired a consultant, and the consultant said the same thing. All you need is one bottle of wine that's $400. So now people would look at the wine list, and they would see the most expensive bottle of wine is $400, and the $50 bottle of wine is very inexpensive by comparison. And so they sold a lot of these $50 bottles of wine. So how can you use this yourself? How can you use the law of comparison and contrast to become more persuasive, to become more influential, to get more people to do what you want them to do for their own reasons? One fantastic way to use this law is to combine it with the double bind, a technique from the Milton model conversational hypnotic patterns. And the double bind is something you're likely very, very familiar with. You give people two choices, and both choices lead to the same outcome. Would you like to use paper or plastic? Would you like to pay with credit card or cash? Would you like to go into trance in the blue chair or the green chair? Would you like to use mind persuasion products to become more persuasive or become more seductive? Would you like to use mind persuasion products to become more confident or become much more charismatic? Would you like to use your persuasion skills that you'll learn from mind persuasion products to sell a lot of stuff and make a lot of money, or be very, very seductive to gorgeous ladies and make them eagerly fall in love with you? So how do you combine comparison and contrast with a double bind? Start off with a double bind, but make one choice much more preferable to the other choice. For example, a common double bind tactic salespeople use when they're calling people and setting appointments for in-home sales is to say something like this: well, I'd like to come into your house to give you a little bit more information. Which is better, Tuesday afternoon or Monday morning? That's easier than saying, can I come on Thursday afternoon, yes or no? They'll usually say no. But if you say, which is better, this one or this one, they're more likely to choose one of the two. But you can increase the likelihood that they'll choose one of the two by making one seem much, much better than the other one. I'd like to come into your house next week to tell you a little bit more about our product. I've got 2 hours on Thursday afternoon or 10 minutes on Tuesday morning. Which is better for you? And that way, the 10 minutes seems much, much preferable, so they'll kind of latch onto this one, and that will increase the probability that you can set an appointment to go into their house and then sell them stuff. Or if you're talking to a girl and you'd like to get her number, you could say, could you give me your number? Yes or no? She might say no. But if you say, hey, I like talking to you. I'd like to see you again. Why don't we exchange contact information? Which is easier for you, giving me your number or giving me your WhatsApp? And that way she'll choose the easiest one, which is a WhatsApp. It's much more likely to increase your ability to get a number from her. Or if you've already got the number or the contact information and you want to set up the date, you can call her on the phone and say, hey, it's me from the other day. I like talking to you. I'd like to see you again. Would you like to get together with a cup of coffee for me, or would you like to go to a concert out of town? The concert out of town is a huge time constraint, a huge time commitment, which she'll probably say no to if you just ask for this. But if you compare it to a coffee date close to her house, she'll much more likely say yes. So the trick is to start off with what you want, put it in the form of a double bind, and then make one of them seem much more preferable to the other one, and that will significantly increase your chances of getting compliance from your target, and it will make you much, much more persuasive. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to learn more about how to become more persuasive, check out the links below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.